Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday approved the immediate suspension of Hudu Yunusa Ari, the resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State, who illegally declared the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Aisha Dahiru Binani, as governor-elect before collation of results were concluded. The president also ordered the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the Department of State Services, and the Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to probe the role of their officers in aiding and abetting the INEC REC for prosecution.
Featuring celebrations, world leaders, including Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, have sent goodwill remarks to Muslims across the globe. President Muhammadu Buhari, in his message on Thursday, reflected on the 2023 general election and again reiterated that the exercise was transparent and that his party, the governing All Progressives Congress, lost ground in many states, while other prominent Nigerian leaders, including President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, also congratulated Muslims across the world. Well, Nigeria's former vice president and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, in his Salah message, asked Muslims to join efforts towards building a more united Nigeria in light of the recent unfortunate bitter divisions caused by national politics. Well, Atiku added that he is worried about how the outcome of the presidential election has deeply divided Nigeria. I mean, Dr. Abati, well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate our viewers. I'd like Muslim viewers. Happy Eid. Yesterday, we took a story of Lai Mohammed, who also talked about the fact that the 2023 election was, free and fair, was peaceful and, the least violent in Nigeria. And here we can hear President Muhammadu Buhari re-echoing his thoughts as well. I mean, like you said yesterday, a lot of people would disagree with him, but, I often wonder why this is the time to, talk about, events like that. But also Atiku Abubakar, we've heard that, we've not heard from Atiku Abubakar in a long time. And it's refreshing to hear from him and, celebrating Muslims in the way that he did. But I think he made a valid point. The elections have divided Nigerians really quickly.
Well, two perspectives on elections, depending on what side you're on. And when I heard or read his statement that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, I thought perhaps he kept quiet due to Ramadan season. So now that the Ramadan, holy month of Ramadan, where they were fasting, so he kept his peace. And now that Ramadan is over, he now feels all right, or feels the need to speak out on the elections, and just to coincide with that. This is not the first time the president is saying that this was a free, fair, and credible election, was peaceful, and all the nice things about what an election should look like. However, the obvious, the evidence before us says the contrary. And Alhaji Atiku Abubakar puts it best in terms of saying that it was divisive. It was very divisive, and we've seen the outplay of it on social media. We've seen more divisions along ethnic and religious lines with regards to how people have come out, individuals being affected, businesses. In fact, people are saying that they will not hire people who are not from their particular ethnic group. That's how divided we are currently. It would be great to understand the metric by which the president has judged these elections, to give such a judgment as to how free and fair, or to laud it as being a great cycle. A number of CSOs beg to differ, a number of international observers beg to differ, a number of analysts beg to differ, and a number of Nigerian citizens beg to differ.
All right.
Let us see the truth always in this country. The truth will make you free. I'm seeing this attempt to push an agenda that this election was free and fair. It was anything short of it. Is it an election where a state broadcaster sponsored an electoral coup with Binani reading a public address of an election that has not been completed, and today NBC has not fined them? Is that a free and fair election? An election where only Jennifer's crime in Surulere was because she wanted to vote and she was stabbed in the face, but she still votes with blood dripping? With all the people killed and maimed, hurt in Lagos? With all the people killed all over the country? With the videos of people saying? election free and fair with the discrepancy between the RF result and what is seen on ground? Wasn't it Premium Times that carried the story about Obiakpo in River State? Because I've seen this attempt, and this attempt started after the Western media first flawed our elections and said it's flawed election. So there's a backtrack. Some people even traveled abroad. I'm not saying don't go and put your narrative forward, but tell the truth, because posterity will judge all of us in this country if we don't speak up. And the problem with Nigeria is that we've not been speaking up over the years and not saying things the way they are. I think it's CDD or one of this civil society group that said 109 people died 3 months leading up to the election. The wanton destruction of lives and property, the fact that people were baited along ethnic lines, town criers came out in Lagos on election morning saying don't come out to vote. We cannot see all of this and act like it never happened. And the holy month of Ramadan is a month of healing for a lot of us. So please, I would like to ask you, in this month of denial of fasting, what did you learn about the love of God? What did you learn about the love of God for you and for further human beings? Did the love of God, did it trump the love for humanity? Because you say you practice what you preach, but you did anything just to be able to get power. But you forget that you will leave this earth somewhere, and everything you acquire, you won't take it anywhere with you.
Those are pertinent questions. Dr. Abati, your thoughts on both stories?
Okay, first, look, the whole point about whether the election was free, fair, and credible. We have seen various reports by various observers, local, regional, and international, and there have been, observations made about how there were irregularities in that election. We've seen newspaper editorials telling the whole world how that was a flawed election that produced the outcome, but with the caveat that Nigeria could even organize elections and do so successfully raises hope about the future of democracy in Africa, given Nigeria's strategic importance. I'm just trying to do a quick summary of what others have said. But it is also, at the same time, as some people have argued, perhaps the most controversial election in recent Nigerian history. And that is why there are already over 400 cases before the tribunals at various levels. That is why even INEC is saying that he's looking for 3 billion for lawyers' fees. Because INEC is joined in almost every of the cases. In fact, lawyers are even saying 3 billion is not enough after we have spent so much money on the same election. That is why even in the presidential election, people are in court.
Yes.
Okay? So, and the presidential election petition tribunal, people are even saying, why has that tribunal not started sitting up till now? So there are issues. There are persons who have grievances, but you can understand where the president is coming from. If the president says, oh, it was free, it was great, and that in fact, he as president even lost in his own state. Yeah. And that's evidence that, he was not trying to influence anything. Don't forget that the president had promised before and even after the election that he wants to leave a legacy of a successful electoral process. But history will determine whether, President Buhari can add the elections conducted under his watch as part of his legacy. What is clear is that already people are already saying, look, we still have to do a lot in terms of reforms. As for the greetings to the Muslim Ummah, well, I join you also in saying Eid Mubarak. The one thing that we should note is that the general elections in 2023 coincided with two major religious events: Lent with Christians, Ramadan with Muslims. And this is a very religious country where you find a church or a mosque at every street corner. And yet, during the month of Lent, and yet, during the month of Ramadan, people were snatching ballot boxes. People were rigging. Electoral officials were misbehaving. We witnessed the most recent, the most brazen hoodooism in Adamawa State, where a resident electoral commissioner knowingly, willfully violated the law and usurped the functions of a returning officer. And yet, these are the same people. Some of them have been to Jerusalem. Some of them have gone to Mecca. They go for Umrah at every time. But they don't behave like true Christians. Yeah. They don't behave like true Muslims. So one of the major challenges we face in this country is this gap between what I call private morality and public morality. Everybody is very religious, going to mosque, going to church. When it comes to conduct in the public space, the most pious people are the most, problematic in terms of conduct. And that's part of the problem we have in this country.
Well said, Dr. Abati.